Hello, this is Wayne Rivers at the Family Business Institute. Today we want to talk a little bit more about our family business crisis and dig into some of the techniques that the Doback family uses to get out of their situation and come out on the other end feeling and performing a lot better. And the main tool that we use in this book to illustrate how to get out of a sticky situation is what we call the change model. So you'll see a graphic of the change model on your screen here. And the change model is something that we wish we had invented. We wish we'd created it, but we didn't. It was originally created by the late Dr. Virginia Satir, and it was improved and extended by the great Jean McClendon of Chapel Hill. Jean has worked with us on a number of family business engagements and is just a gifted psychotherapist, but she's actually made some improvements to the change model. So Jean taught us the change model, and we've used it successfully over the years with a number of our family businesses. So I want to talk specifically about that tool today in the context of our family business crisis. So as you can see in the change model graphic, everybody starts in old status quo. Now, let me walk you through two things here. I'm going to walk you through the change model in the context of a pair of shoes. That's the first thing. Second thing, I'll walk you through the change model as a family business like the Dobacks might experience it. So we've got several stages in the change model. The first is old status quo, the second is catalyst, the third is chaos, the next is the transforming idea, the next is integration, the next is practice, and finally end up at new status quo. This change applies to whether you're going through, you've just had a child, you've just gone through a divorce, you just had an automobile accident, you have a crisis in your family business, you add a new employee to your family business, you lose a big customer. Change happens in life all the time. The reason this is valuable is the change model helps us understand that change isn't necessarily bad, it's just a fact of life. And the more we can intellectually grasp that change is natural and follows a predictable set of steps, the better we're able to assimilate changes. And since we've been using this here at the Family Business Institute the last 15 years, we've almost become addicted to change because we know what's going to happen. We know initially when a change happens, whether it's forced on us from the outside or whether we embrace a change, we know we're going to go through a rocky period of trying to figure out just what in the heck is going on here. But we know as we emerge through that rocky period that things are going to come out better. So we've actually become almost addicted to change here, knowing that it's not that big, scary, hairy monster that everybody always worries about. All right, so our first stage is old status quo, and that's comfortable, and that's where you are. So think about an old pair of shoes that you've had for 10 years, and they're really comfortable, and you slip them on the evening when you get home from work, and they feel really good to you. Well, then something happens. There's a catalyst, okay? A catalyst is an outside or maybe an internal event that happens, and maybe the heel falls off your floppy old shoes or something like that. Or maybe a new competitor comes into town. So we'll talk about the business piece of it later. Let's stick with the shoe analogy right now. Then we go through this period of chaos. We've got to get a new pair of comfy afternoon shoes, and we go out and we find, oh my gosh, this new pair rubs my heel, or the new heels are higher and it's making my calf sore, or whatever. And eventually we have a transforming idea. Maybe we buy a Dr. Scholl's or something like that and put into this shoe. And gradually we practice, we integrate this new shoe into our daily lives, and within a few months the new shoes are just as comfortable as the old ones ever were. And we're fine and we're moving on. So that's the analogy in the context of an old pair of shoes. Now think about your family business. A new competitor comes to town, your biggest customer leaves, your top non-family employee leaves, you have embezzlement in your company, you have a new computer system you're trying to install, new software you're trying to get used to. All of these things happen all the time in our family businesses, and we battle sometimes to avoid these changes. The change is so uncomfortable. What happens is we start at old status quo, again referring to your diagram. We get into this period, this catalyst comes in. So let's say it's a new competitor comes to town and steals our best customers. Well, now we're in this period of chaos. We don't know exactly what to do. We had been running kind of on cruise control before everything was really good. Now all of a sudden we're in a little bit of a panic. We don't know exactly what the ramifications, what the long-term issue is going to be as a result of this new competitor and the loss of some clients. So we're really in a fuzzy, uncomfortable place. And our performance is going up and down. Some days you think you're going to come through it smelling like a rose, and some days you think you'll never come through it at all. This competitor is going to ruin the good thing you had going on. Then comes along a transforming idea. One day you wake up and you get it. You hired a new salesman. You find that the competitor is not making money in your town and is probably going to leave. Whatever it happens to be, there's some idea that comes along and you go, aha, I think we have a handle on this. And then the change curve begins to go up. You begin to integrate these new ideas into your family or your business or both. You begin to practice them throughout the organization, not just one or two people, but everybody in the organization. And finally, you would arrive at a new status quo, which is a better place, just as happy as you ever were before. It's just different than it was before. So the change model is a really good tool to help you understand the psychological phenomena of change, how we react to change as human beings. The biggest problem in the change model, and the biggest problem we can demonstrate using the change model, is this catalyst comes in. So let's say it's a competitor, for example, and we begin to lose some customers. Well, instead of adapting new behaviors that will allow us to get through this crisis, the human reaction when we're uncomfortable is to try to do what? It's to try to rush back to the old status quo. And that's exactly what you should not be doing in your family businesses. You should be looking for that transforming idea that will allow you to embrace the crisis and how it made us more successful, how it can make you more successful by embracing change, by embracing the lessons learned from a crisis or from competition or any other sort of negative happening in your family business. Don't rush back to the old status quo. Realize that if you can practice, if you can have a transforming idea, if you can integrate these new practices into your business, you'll come out in a much better place at a new status quo, and you will have learned valuable lessons along the way. So, again, go to Amazon, Our Family Business Crisis by Wayne Rivers. Pull out your credit card. We appreciate your business, and stay tuned. Thank you.